Det jeg skal starte med litt om hvem vi hvorfor dere skal få hjelp av oss og fordeler med det. En del typiske spørsmål vi får til daglig. Så skal University of Portsmouth få ta sin presentasjon, etterfulgt av James Cook University, og så CSU San Marcos. Og som jeg nevnte til slutt, så blir det da en Q&A. Vi i Sonor, vi alle studieveiledere. Vi har alle studert i utlandet og veldig mange års erfaring med utenlandsstudier. Vi har kontor i Trondheim, der jeg sitter, og i Oslo. Totalt har vi litt over 60 ulike samarbeidsuniversiteter fordelt på hovedsakelig 5 land, men også et par i Sentral-Europa for medisin- og tannlegestudier. Og totalt sett så har universitetene her flere tusen ulike studievalg. Det vi gir gratis og uforpliktende veiledning, så dere får en veileder som hjelper dere på hele veien. For det første så det jo det med å velge universitet og en grad. Det jo den prosessen som kanskje tar lengst tid og som virker vanskeligst. Vi hjelper også til med selve søknaden, så hvordan man skal fylle inn en søknad til et universitet, hvilke dokumenter som trengs og hvor det skal sendes. Vi gir også en del tips når det kommer til for eksempel det økonomiske. Det veldig mange universiteter som tilbyr veldig gode stipender, og det har vi oversikt over, og vi vet sånn cirka hva det de vil kreve. Så selv om det står en sum på nettsida til universitetet eller nettsida vår, så kan det være muligheter for å få et lavere kostnad enn det. Vi gir også ganske mye praktisk informasjon før man reiser. Det kan være lånekasser, hvordan man søker dit, visum til land som krever det, og hvordan man finner bolig, sånne ting. Vi kan også sette dere i kontakt med andre studenter som allerede på studiestedet, eller som skal reise samtidig som dere skal, eller sette dere i kontakt med de ulike universitetene hvis dere har noen spesielle spørsmål. Jeg heter Kristin, som jeg kanskje glemte å nevne. Jeg studerte en Bachelor of Arts i Wollongong i Australia. Det jeg studerte var hovedsakelig internasjonale studier, men jeg tok også fag innenfor spansk, som gjør at jeg dro på utveksling til Mexico, og miljøstudier. Så jeg har tatt en del av det her på samfunnsfaglig nivå. Jeg har bodd på campus. Det en ting jeg personlig vil anbefale hvis man har mulighet til det. Veldig sosialt, veldig mye aktiviteter. Jeg var også veldig aktiv på skolen. Deltok i ulike societies og clubs. Aller fleste universitetene i hele verden har ulike sånne klubber man kan ta del i. Så var jeg også aktiv i ANSA, som organisasjonen for utenlandsstudenter i Norge. På nettsidene våre så har vi en fane som heter «Hva sier studentene?». Der har ulike studenter skrevet litt om hvordan det å studere på de forskjellige universitetene vi har samarbeid med. Litt om hvordan hverdagen hvordan det på skolen, hva de gjør på fritida, og ting som kanskje de ikke var helt klar over, som de skulle ønske de visste før de reiste. Det for alle landene vi har studenter i, så jeg vil anbefale å se på det hvis dere har tenkt litt på de her ulike stedene. Når det kommer til hva man kan studere, så det så å si hva som helst. Det finnes veldig mange ulike kombinasjoner, så når vi ser på for eksempel miljøstudier, så finnes det jo både som realfaglig fokus og som samfunnsfaglig fokus, men det ofte også mulig å kombinere det med for eksempel businessgrad eller en IT-grad eller noe helt annet. Det mulig å ta et semester eller et år i utlandet, eller så kan man ta en hel grad, enten da bachelorgrad eller mastergrad. Som dere ser på skjermen så det jo ulike måter å gjøre det på. Man kan enten ta sånn som jeg har gjort og tatt alt i utlandet, eller så kan man ta noe i utlandet og noe i Norge. Ofte så det også mulig å dra på utveksling hvis man velger et studiested i Norge, så lenge graden din tillater det. Dette noen av de spørsmålene som vi får så å si daglig. Lånekassa dekker skolepenger. Det en viss sum de dekker, og deler av det kan bli gjort om til stipend når man har fullført studiene. Vil dere vite de eksakte tallene, så det bare å ta kontakt, så kan vi hjelpe dere med det. Prisene for studiene det vil variere veldig ut ifra hvor man vil dra, hvilken type grad man tar, og hvor lenge man studerer. Som jeg nevnte, så det jo veldig mye gode stipender, så det kan være at man kan få ned prisen litt hvis man har gode karakterer. Aller fleste universitetene vil nok kreve fra 4 i snitt oppover, Men det finnes også en del universitet som krever lavere snitt, eller noen som krever enda høyere snitt enn det her. Det som er greit å vite er at ekstrapoeng ikke teller i utlandet. Enkelte studier vil kreve at man har realfag. Det er ikke alle. Enkelte steder så er det mulig å fremdeles ta for eksempel realfaglig fokusert miljøstudier uten å ha realfag før, men noen steder så kan det være krav til visse realfag. Vi kjenner til kravene på universitetene, så vi vet akkurat hva det er de vil kreve. Så hvis dere sender oss vitnemålene deres, så kan vi si at ja, det er universitetet aktuelt, eller nei, du er nødt til å ta et ekstra realfag eller noe sånt. Har dere 4 eller bedre i engelsk fra VG1, så er det mulig å få fritak fra engelsk test ved en del av universitetene våre på spesielt bachelornivå. Hvordan man søker til et universitet, fristen for å søke, det varierer veldig fra universitet til universitet, men det kan også variere fra studie til studie. Enkelte universiteter har veldig tidlige frister, så er det noen som ikke har noen spesifikke søknadsfrister. Så dette er ting som vi, som sagt, hjelper dere med og viser dere hvordan dere skal gjøre det. Det vi får kanskje aller mest spørsmål om for tida er jo hvordan det er med korona og det å reise til utlandet. Per dags dato så er det mulig å reise til Storbritannia og andre steder i EU, Singapore og deler av USA. Det som ikke er mulig er å reise til Australia og New Zealand. Akkurat nå så er grensene fortsatt stengt, men det er mulig å eventuelt utsette studiestarten. Det gjelder også hvis dere allerede har takket ja til et studie eller har søkt, så er det mulig å utsette. Eller så er det mulig å starte med studiene på nett, og så reise når det lar seg gjøre. Dere har jo allerede funnet ut det med webinarer, men jeg tenker jeg nevner det likevel. Vi kommer til å holde ganske mange flere webinar fremover. Allerede neste uke så blir det 3 webinar om studier i California, studier i Storbritannia med hvordan man søker i UCAS, og om psykologistudier. Dere finner dem på nettsida, eller så er det bare å ta kontakt med meg hvis dere er interessert i noen av dem i ettertid. So now I'll switch over to English. And let Julia, let's see. I'll find your. There you go.
Great. Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Julia Brown. I'm from the University of Portsmouth in the UK. So we are a coastal city on the south coast of England. So for the UK, we have a pretty nice climate. Our climate is obviously not as nice as Australia or America, but for the UK, we have a nice climate here. So I am a member of staff from the School of the Environment, Geography and Geosciences, and my role as well as global engagement. So I'm really happy that you guys are thinking about studying overseas. I thoroughly encourage you to think about that seriously, because I think it's an investment in yourself, and it does you so much good to travel and to experience different places and cultures. So next slide. Thank you. So I'm going to talk to you about my school and what we do in terms of environmental studies and environmental science. So the School of the Environment, Geography and Geosciences, we have 1,200 undergraduate students, around 200 postgraduate students doing master's courses and PhD students coming from a range of countries. There are 45 academic staff, and we have a really good amount of support staff in terms of managing our laboratories and in technical support as well. So you can see on the map here, Portsmouth is on the south coast. We've got connections into London, an hour and a half by train into central London. Our airports are Gatwick and Heathrow that you can reach within an hour and a half or less from Portsmouth. We have international or intercontinental ferries to France and to Spain as well. So we're quite a good location with really good train and rail connections as well. So next slide. So the first thing that I think is a really important thing I want to stress is that all the teaching staff, all the academic staff in my school, we're all research active, and we bring our research into our teaching. So our teaching is research informed. So our expertise really covers a really wide range of areas, from human geography, looking at culture, society and governance. My own research looks at how Water is being managed in sub-Saharan Africa, so I look at how communities manage shared resources. I have colleagues looking at climate change and at river management, colleagues interested in natural hazards and resilience, and we have a real interest in pollution and oceanography, as well at Portsmouth, particularly looking at marine and plastic pollution. Okay, next slide. So I wanted to talk to you guys about what we offer in terms of environmental studies and environmental science at the University of Portsmouth. So I'm going to start by talking about our geography programmes. So I don't know whether geography is a discipline that is widely studied in Norway, but geography is a really popular discipline within the UK, and it really encompasses both human interactions with the natural world. So we have a BSc offering and a BA offering. So the BA offering, you tend to study modules where there is more looking at the human interaction, and the BSc programme is more looking at what we call physical geography, so really looking at more physical processes. So I'm going to give you a very short overview of what we offer here in terms of geography. So next slide. So I've been in the department of geography, which is part of the School of the Environment, Geography and Geosciences for 12.5 years. So we're a really nice group of academics. We are a subject area that's really passionate about fieldwork. So a lot of your time is spent out in the field, in different locations, and we're really a subject area that's really passionate about global teaching and bringing, as I mentioned before, our research into our teaching. So we are a school that's been teaching geography for a long time, and I think that's really important. But I'm going to now talk you through what a degree in geography would look like for those that have an interest in environmental studies. So next slide. So geography really is a discipline that looks at the interactions of human beings with the natural or physical world. So your first year at Portsmouth is a core year, regardless of if you're on the BA programme or the BSc programme. So you take a module in physical geography. So there you learn about environmental processes, about climate change over a long period of history. You look at rivers, you understand river processes, look at glaciers, for example. In terms of human geography, you have an overview of economic processes, the role of politics, you look at development and culture, history. So you get that overview of the human population and change over time. And then another module we do, which I am a module coordinator, is called in the area of environmental geography. So there we look at a whole range of environmental problems, so water pollution, problems caused from urbanisation, for example. We look at the causes and the consequences. So environmental geography really does bring the physical and the human together. And a real focus within the first year is teaching everybody about different research techniques. So you're taught how to collect data in the field. That might be measuring river changes, for example, or looking at coastal changes, as well as techniques for interviewing people and doing focus groups. So you then take those techniques that you've learned and you take them into the field. So there's field classes, which I'll mention as well. And we have a dedicated tutorial program where you meet in small groups each week to help and support your learning. Okay, next slide. So in your second year, you do a core module called Methods, Field Trip and Professional Skills. And then you have these options. So you can see these are the kind of options that you can take. For example, geographies of development, through to options from the more physical side of our discipline, looking at river processes or looking at glaciers and glaciology, for example. So you get to curate your degree, you pick and choose your options, and that will help determine whether you have a BA, which is more on the human side, or a BSc, which is more on the physical side. And next slide. So your third year of your degree, it's core to do a dissertation. So that's a really important part of geography, and in fact, many degree programmes within the UK. So that's a really big piece of independent study that you undertake. So you are allocated a tutor who will help you with your project, but largely this is something for you to go out and collect your own data, do the analysis, and write up this project. And then you can see again the range of options that we have here, from conservation biogeography, through to cold environments. That may not be so appealing to you based in Norway, but for our students, they get to go to Arctic Finland. So that's really exciting for them. I have a module called Environment and Development, where I take students to Uganda to look at how the environment is being managed in a developing context. So again, you can see on the slides a real interesting range of subjects that you can study as part of a geography programme. Okay, next slide. So I've mentioned that fieldwork is really important to the discipline of geography. So in your first year, we take students for a few days to the Isle of Wight. So if you remember the map right at the beginning that showed the location of Portsmouth, we're really close to the Isle of Wight. So we take students over to the Isle of Wight to undertake a series of projects. That's included in your fees. And then Sicily, Malta and Berlin are the destination of fieldwork trips in the second year. Again, that's covered out of your fees. And that's a week-long trip where you undertake, again, a series of projects that can be more human or physical in orientation. And then we have a couple of trips that are associated with third year's modules. So I mentioned my trip to Uganda. So there's a picture there of my students stuck in the heavy mud, sort of pushing our coach so we can get on our way again. And we have a field trip to Arctic Finland that's part of a cold environments module in the final year of your degree programme. So some of the pictures here are from Malta, actually, where the students have gone for many years on field work. So that's a really important part of our discipline. Okay, next. So one of the things that we really stress at open days and any kind of engagement with students is that the degree of having a degree in geography is actually really employable. There's some research that shows that geography graduates have higher earnings than other students in other disciplines. And I think that's largely because of the range of skills that we train our students in. That's numeracy skills, you learn statistics and mapping and modelling skills, GIS skills. You also have critical reasoning and writing skills. So it makes geography graduates very employable. And many of our graduates have then gone on to work for a whole range of different areas, such as environmental consultancy. I've got a lot of my graduates that have gone on to become city planners or transport planners and teachers as well. So it's a really nice grounding as an undergraduate discipline that you can then go on to do further specialisms for postgrad study, for example. Okay, next slide. So I've just gone through geography. I'm now going to briefly give you an overview of our environmental science degree programme. So we offer BSc Environmental Science and we also offer BSc Marine Environmental Science. So I'll quickly go through that. Just you'll notice here in the slide it says TEF Gold. So this is a ranking system of the quality of teaching of UK universities, and we're one of the few universities in the UK that was awarded gold in that assessment from a couple of years ago. So we are a university that really does take teaching seriously and very much student-centred. Okay, next slide. So environmental science is a really popular discipline within the UK, and it's very much an interdisciplinary study because you look at ecology, biology, chemistry, physics and maths. So it really appeals to those kinds of students that have a science background and are quite happy with maths and doing some sort of quite a lot of statistics in this. So it's a discipline that is more concerned, it's coming definitely from a more pure science perspective than geography that has more of that interaction with the human side. Next slide. So just a really quick overview of what the first year looks like for our environmental science and marine environmental science. You can see here the range of modules that you'd study. So ecology, plants and the human impact, introduction to marine ecology and oceanography, quantitative methods, for example, and again, supported by the tutorial programme. Next slide. And again, like geography, environmental science is a discipline that gets students out in the field. So quite early on in your first year, you go for a 4-day residential field trip to the west of England. So that's highlighted in the map on the bottom there. So you get to spend some time, and again, you get to know the other students on your course, and it's a really great bonding experience to do field work early on in your degree, and also to get practical experience in the field as well. Okay, next slide. So I'm just going to really quickly run through what the environmental science looks like in the second year. So the second year is when you start to kind of, in a sense, specialise and again craft your degree, and by choosing option modules. So you'll see there are core modules that you have to take, and these are selected as being really important and integral to the training of an environmental scientist. So again, you have GIS or remote sensing modules, you have modules and training in how to design research projects and collect and analyse data, and environmental chemistry and monitoring. And then you get to choose from the optional modules that are listed there as well. So for example, energy resources or hydrology, for example. And because many students are interested in the marine side, there's an optional to get experience in diving. So there's a practical boating skills optional module as well. Okay, next slide. So this is for those that are specialising in marine environmental science. And you'll see here that the core modules are very much more focused towards the marine side. So some of the modules here do share modules with those that are taught in biology. So marine organisms and ecosystems, for example, as well as the subject area of oceanography. And again, the range of module options you've got there. And I think one of the things I think is really great about Portsmouth is that we have laboratories both in geography and environmental science, and our students are trained in how to use the equipment. So that's not just something that you look at, you're actually trained how to use very sophisticated technology so that you can then go into to work in laboratories in the future, and you've got that core training. Okay, next slide. So again, like our geography programs, environmental science students have an 8-day residential field trip to Malta as well. And that's a really fascinating location from an environmental perspective, because Malta is a really small Mediterranean island that hasn't really managed its environment particularly well. It's got real issues to do with water, and its aquifer is being, seawater is coming into its aquifer. So they've got lots of really interesting environmental problems, and it's also a really interesting marine location as well. Okay, next slide. So there's an option for both of our degrees in geography and environmental and marine environmental science to take a placement year. So many of our students have taken up this opportunity to work for a range of different organisations, from local government such as Hampshire County Council to private businesses or environmental consultancies. And I think it's a great opportunity to take what is equivalent of your third year in industry, and many of our students then who do that, I think, come back and are even more focused in their studies in their final year. Okay, next slide. So the course structure for the final year of your degree is again for our environmental science. You can see again there's a broad range of modules that you have to take as part of this degree programme, but again there are optional modules as well. And at the bottom it mentions European Study Tour, so that is a field trip that goes to Portugal. That is a trip that students have to pay for in addition to their fees. And then Tropical Study Tour is a trip that goes either to Malaysia or Belize. There's a cost associated with that, but they are an amazing opportunity. And I think any opportunity to travel, see that as an investment in yourself. And I think I'm always there to encourage any form of travel. Okay, next slide. So this is the final year for the marine environmental science. So again, you can see the core modules there, marine ecology and conservation, again, doing a dissertation, and then you have a broader range of optional modules. And I think it's really nice that you can have these optional modules, because that helps you find your distinctive area of expertise. And I think when you're thinking about doing a degree, you also want to be thinking about where you want to go next and what your particular specialisms you want to be able to have as part of your degree programme. Okay, next slide. So I've already mentioned this, but there's a whole range of equipment that we have that we train our students in using. I'm a qualitative human geographer, so this is something that I never personally use, but I know that our students are trained in using a whole range of equipment. We have brilliant lab managers that help and support students with their analysis, and particularly this analysis is helpful for their dissertations, their independent study that I mentioned before. Okay, next slide. So again, I think it's just really nice that many of our students then who do environmental science go on to do work within the sector. So we have our government agencies, the Environment Agency, so many of our students go and work for the Environment Agency, as well as environmental consultancies as well. So in the private sector and for NGOs. as well as in the UK and overseas as well. Okay, next slide. Just really quickly, I'm sure many of you are thinking about undergraduate opportunities, but we also offer some really interesting specialist postgraduate, so master's level programs. So we have coastal and marine resource management. We then, because my school has geology as well, we offer geology, engineering geology and geotechnics, and then environmental geology and contamination. These are masters that are accredited through accrediting bodies. We also have a really popular master's program in hazards and disaster relief management as well. So that just gives you a flavour of the kind of master's programs we have that our students can take if they've taken their undergraduate with us, but equally many students come from all over the world to take these postgraduate opportunities with us. And I think there's one final slide. Yeah, so these are just some information about how you can check out what we do at Portsmouth and some of our social media accounts as well. So I think there's maybe one last very, very final slide. Yeah, so that's me. So I'm Julia Brown from Portsmouth, and hopefully if you have any questions at the end, I'm very, very happy to answer them for you. So you're finished with Portsmouth, and I think you're going on to learn about America and Australia next. So thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. If anyone's got any questions, just send it in the chat and we'll move to the US and Noreen.
Thank you very much, Kristen. And hello, everybody. My name is Noreen Lucy, and I'm coming to you today from Cal State San Marcos. One moment while I share my screen. Hopefully you can see that now. We'll give it a moment. So Cal State San Marcos is situated in sunny Southern California. It is about half an hour north of San Diego and about 150 kilometers south of Los Angeles, which can take anything up to 2 to 5 hours, depending on traffic. We are in a very diverse region. We're close to the beaches. We're just 15 minutes to the beach, mountains, lots of activities. Our Norwegian students generally love being at the campus and having so much to do outdoors. You might have heard of SeaWorld, San Diego Safari Park, Disneyland. These are just some, I suppose, iconic places in the region. And you'll see there, this is our Sprinter train. This is the train that connects the campus. We have a stop on the campus, and that takes you to the coast. So back to San Diego, San Marcos. I was just explaining that we have a train that connects you to the coast, and from there you can take the bus and the train north and south. So a lot of students say to me, do you need a car in California? And I would say yes, in some areas you do absolutely need a car, but we're very lucky to have very good public transport links from our campus. So you don't need a car for the time that you spend with us. And just a few quick facts about the university. We're considered a mid-sized university, about 17,000 students and about 400 international students. We have a really diverse cohort of international students from all over the world. So it is, I suppose, a small cohort, very easy to integrate, to get to know your fellow students. You will be in class with American students. If you're living on campus, you'll probably be sharing with American students. And that is something that international students ask me also, because there's a difference between some universities that offer extension courses where you are with just international students, but we integrate our international students into all of our classes. We're quite a new campus. We are just 31 years old, so the campus has a very modern feel to it with state-of-the-art facilities, really nice accommodation, and lots of very new buildings. So some of the campus information, we have very small classrooms, about 24 students to each class. We are an applied university, which means that we're very focused on employability, and we don't offer PhD programs, for example. So we're not a research-oriented university. It's very much applied and getting graduates into the workplace. But we do have almost all of our faculty do hold doctorate degrees. Something else that I'm asked very often about our university is the fact that is it safe, and we're very proud of the fact that we are the safest California four-year university for 4 years in a row. And again, just some information on the employability, and we do really focus on careers and employability. I'm going to try this video just because I'm curious as to whether it's going to work or not. Let's see what my bandwidth is like today. So a lot of students will live on campus. You saw there in the video, there was a shot of one of our accommodation buildings. They're very modern because we are quite a new university, but the facilities are really impressive with swimming pools, jacuzzis. It's a lot different to when I went to university. And international students can choose to live on campus. However, a lot of international students live off campus because of the fact that we have the train connection to campus. They can commute in and out to the campus, and we are about 15-minute train ride to the coast. And along the coast, you'll have a series of towns that will run all the way from San Marcos to San Diego. Some of the best beaches in Southern California are located close by. And we do find that a lot of international students will choose that option. And we will help students as well connect with housing associations. So we are a comprehensive university. This is the list of all of our degree programs. And obviously today we're talking about environmental studies. And just a disclaimer, I don't come from the environmental studies department. So my knowledge of the programs are limited, but I'm going to give you a quick overview. So I suppose our degree includes training in physical sciences, life sciences, geographic information systems, environmental policy and law, land use planning, environmental ethics, research methods, and environmental arts and humanities. Just as an aside, the American system in higher education is the general education system. So 50% of your degree is in general education. So that can be any subject, and the other 50% is your specialized discipline. So in this case, it would be environmental studies. But our programs do focus on those four aspects: the life and physical sciences, the social sciences and policy, and then the work on research methods and the environmental arts and humanities. So just another, I suppose, point in terms of our campus, our Green Campus projects. These are just a sample of some of the work that students are undertaking on campus, which I just think I am so proud of the students and the work they're doing on campus. There is so much happening between students and faculty in terms of plastic pollution. We're on the ocean, so there's a lot of work being undertaken by faculty and students to clean up our ocean. We have a plant-based restaurant on campus that was set up by students. One of the professors has a garden in his classroom to encourage the students to think about what they're eating and where it comes from. We have free composting on campus, like a local compost company came in and provided the facilities for that. We're very proud of our environmental justice internship programs. We're being honored for that. That keeps growing every year. We're on the road to becoming a zero waste campus, which is fantastic. And then within the Cal State system, which is a system of 23 universities, we are regularly recognized as a sustainability leader. We have the hydration stations across the campus, of course, the LED lighting, and construction is underway for a new fuel cell that will enable the university to produce its own electricity. And then we have huge work going on with solar panel construction on campus. And we are putting out a tender for a solar panel system that can produce enough energy to power more than 200 average size homes in our area. So solar power is huge on campus. We are in sunny Southern California, and there's a huge effort underway to really increase solar power generation on campus. And then, of course, naturally, all of our campus accommodation runs energy and water efficiency programs. So not only is it I suppose, on campus in terms of that Green Campus initiative, but sustainability is embedded in a lot of our programs, even outside of the environmental science. There's a huge effort underway to embed sustainability in all of the programs. So I suppose it's a real California ethos anyway, in terms of sustainability, and the need to really incorporate that in all businesses across all sectors in California. So it is quite good for employability as well. And we find that our environmental science students, they can look at jobs within other sectors. Our career office has a lot of links with other industries, and we're placing a lot of students in sustainability jobs within other sectors. So I guess we welcome students to come and study with us for a semester or for a full year, get a taste of what the course is like, see if they actually do like living in sunny Southern California or not. So they can come to us to study for a semester or a year and then continue with the graduate program. This is the bachelor program, which they can continue studying at from the semester or the year. And then, yeah, I guess I would say for environmental science students, we're in a wonderful area for environmental studies. The state of California is very conscious of sustainability. It is a huge growth area in terms of employability. And we believe that we have a very nice location for our students. So these are some contact details, but I'll pop them in the chat as well. And I will put my own email and details in the chat too. So thank you very much. And apologies for that slight interruption of my 3-year-old looking for his dinner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noreen. I'm sure I can send the links to the videos to all of you as well. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to send them in the chat. I'll share. I've received a couple of questions, and let me see, open the chat. So there's the first question is for Julia at Portsmouth, and the person is wondering what you studied.
Hi everybody, so I studied geography at Lancaster University, and I did a BSc in geography, but actually most of my modules were kind of on the human side. So I did about sustainability and the management of natural resources, and particularly courses to do with development. And I did a minor in politics. So I brought all of that experience into my teaching. And I also did as part of my master's program, I went to Ghana in West Africa, and I did a placement there. So that's why I think I'm so passionate about students traveling and experiencing different cultures. And if you can do that as part of your studies, I think that it's a good sell to your parents. You can justify that you're traveling, but you're really doing it for your studies. So yeah, I'm a geographer by training.
One question is also for all the universities. So how much does it cost to study at these universities approximately? Well, there's one interesting question that I think I'll ask you, Julia, because you mentioned a lot of traveling. So one person is wondering, how can it be sustainable to study sustainability while traveling so much?
That's a really good question, and I actually teach I run a module called Sustainable Environmental Management at the second year, and I'm seeing my students tomorrow, and we're actually discussing the spectrum of views on sustainability. So I think sustainability is sometimes seen as a subject that's really straightforward, but actually there's a whole range of different interpretations of sustainability. So you can argue from a weak end of the spectrum of sustainability, whereby you could look about making you could look for carbon offsetting, for example. I completely understand the conundrum about sustainability on the one hand and travel, and it's something that I personally do struggle with. I totally understand that, but I think I try to be good in other areas of my life, shall we say. But yes, it's something that we all have to, I think, it's a very moral question, and we have to find a position that we feel comfortable with. But I'm very aware that my father thinks I'm a hypocrite for all the travel I do, and my father doesn't care about the environment, but he never puts any heating on and never travels anywhere. So he's more sustainable, you could argue. So I think university is about having discussions about something that we take for granted, but realizing it's much more complicated than that. And that's something I'm very interested in, discussing the different viewpoints on that.
So that's all the questions I've received so far. So unless anyone else got any questions in the end, you can see all our emails on the screen. So feel free to email any of us with any questions you might have after this. And I would like to say thank you to the universities for joining us today. And thank you for everyone that participated.